Monster Melee! Gladiators versus Rhinoceros Rider. Hello everyone, welcome to Monster Melee, where D&D creatures clash against one another in epic battles. I am your game master and commentator, Esper. I'm glad to have you here with me. Today's scenario is inspired by the Rhino battle scene in the recent Gladiator 2 movie. And while the movie overall was a bit off, it doesn't change the fact that arena and gladiator type scenarios in D&D can make for really awesome encounters. So inspired by that scene, I've tried to recreate things. We have these 5 gladiators here. One is their leader, sort of a champion, and then 4 others who are more like basic gladiators. And then the opponent is a beast rider who is mounted atop a trained rhino. The battle map is this really cool arena map that I found by a cartographer named Zepuku. So I want to say thank you very much, a bardic bow of gratitude for the fantastic work and for making this available. And let's take a look at our combatants. So we'll start here with these 4, what are called gladiator tyros, basically entry-level gladiators or basic gladiators. They're a medium humanoid, could be any race, could be any alignment, a challenge rating of only 1/4, armor class of 13, hit points of 16, regular standard speed of 30 feet. And this one here's the champion, or as I like to call it, the Gladiator Scarred Champion. He has a challenge rating of 3, an armor class of 17, 75 hit points, standard speed of 30 feet. He has a good strength and a good constitution. He has an improved critical where he can land a critical hit on a natural 19 or 20, multi-attack where he can make 2 attacks, and a champion's rampage feature in which if he scores a critical hit or reduces a creature to 0 hit points on his turn, he can use a bonus action to move up to his speed and make a melee attack. And then their opponents over here, we are looking at the Gladiator Beast Rider. He's a challenge rating of 1, armor class 16, hit points of 45, standard speed of 30 feet, has a good strength, dex, and con, has a combat beast riding feature, which basically lets him command the rhino to attack, or to basically the rhino doesn't have restrictions on its actions. Typically, if you're controlling a mount in battle, the mount can only dash, dodge, or disengage. In this case, he can actually control the rhino to attack and make his own attacks. He has different weapons he can choose from. He has a battle axe, he has a flail, and he has bullets, which he can throw to try to trip and restrain someone. And then the rhinoceros itself is a large beast, unaligned, challenge rating of 2. Armor class is only 11, so kind of low there. Hit points of 45. Speed is 40 feet. It has a very high strength score, a good constitution, a charge trait in which if it builds up momentum for 20 feet and it hits with its horn, it's going to do extra damage and it can be pretty devastating. Overall, it's a very powerful creature in melee. Just has the 1 gore attack, but if it hits with that, it can do a lot of damage. Though it does have some weaknesses. It's just a beast, so it has animal level intelligence, and that AC is not great. The Gladiator Tyro and the Gladiator Scarred Champion both come from the April 2024 issue of Scrolls of the Bard. That's my monthly newsletter. Check out the link down in the video description. I do every month a newsletter and a dungeon map or an RPG map. There's a free version and there's a patrons only version, like a version for those who are supporters on Patreon. The patron version always comes with more content. So like that issue has a bunch of gladiators in it, and there's even more gladiators in the patron version. And the dungeon map is always bigger. It's like an expanded map, or it has different alternate versions for the patron version. So I encourage you to go check that out. Whether you sign on as a free member or a paid member, your support means a lot to me, and I thank you very much for putting extra wind in the sails and supporting this channel. The crowds are roaring. They are here to see spectacle. They are here to see blood. Coming out of the eastern gate is a large, single-horned beast from the savannas of the south. Mounted atop the rhinoceros is a beast rider, a masked helm, some partial armor, and a variety of weapons. He sees his opponent there across the dusty arena and is about ready to kick that rhino into a charge. We will roll for initiative here as the gladiators are trying to steel their nerves for this oncoming massive beast and its deadly rider. The Scarred Champion is going first. He draws a javelin and throws it at the rider. He's going to have disadvantage for it being at long range, and he can draw his second javelin and throw it as well. So he's done 2. The first one and the second one both sail wide and do not strike their mark. and he's basically telling the men to scatter, to get out of the way, so they won't all just get completely trampled over. This Gladiator Tyro here will go back a bit, and he will ready an attack with a javelin. And the Beast Rider atop the Rhinoceros goes charging in. The Rhinoceros kicks up dust as it rides, and the mounted rider swings the bullets round and around his head, and he loses him through the air, trying to take down this gladiator right here. Okay, he can make a strength or dexterity saving throw to try to avoid the bullets. He's going to go with strength, and he rolls a natural one. He, just as he started to flee, gets wrapped about his ankles, and it knocks him prone and restrains him. The bald gladiator steps to the side here and tries to stab at the Beast Rider with his javelin. The Gladiator Tyros have a shield, 1 javelin, and 1 dagger. That is a miss. It is blocked by the Beast Rider's armor. The one who's on the ground is desperately trying to get out of the restraints, and he is able to get the bolus pulled off of himself. That took his action. He's going to stand up. That will take half his speed, and he's going to try to get away. He's trying to run from this charging Rhino, the Rhino that's like bearing down upon him. And this Gladiator will come here, and he will attack with his javelin at the Beast Rider. And he comes up the 19 and does hit, and he is going to deal 7 piercing damage to the Beast Rider. The Scarred Champion will draw his sword, and he'll run over to there. He can't quite reach the target, so he will ready an attack with the sword. Before we go to Tyro A's turn, he has that ready javelin throw. I don't think he's going to throw it at long range. So I think what he'll do is he'll spin an action to continue the ready, and once the target gets within a short range, he is going to let it fly. The Rhino's continuing its charge against this fleeing man here, and this will provoke an opportunity attack from these 2 gladiators here. So let's have them do their javelin thrusts, and they'll strike at the rider as the Rhinoceros moves away. One of them does manage a hit. Does a mere 3 damage to the Beast Rider, and the Rhino's just continuing its charge, and the fleeing man trying to get away, but alas, he just is not fast enough, and the Rhino is going to make its attack with its gore. All right, we're looking at a 20 to hit. That's going to be 2d8 plus 5 and an extra 2d8 because of the charge there. That is a massive 25 damage. Absolutely skewers the fleeing man. And it flings him across the ground, his blood spattering as he goes. The rider maneuvered the Rhino so that he never got close enough to the readied longsword attack from the champion gladiator. I think he's going to throw a bolus at the champion. Oh, but before he does, Tyro A has his readied javelin throw. Okay, so the readied throw from Tyro A sails over there. A 15 to hit is not quite going to do it. The scale mail of the rider is enough to make the weapon glance off and not actually cause him any damage, and he will throw a bolus over there at the champion. Champion is a +5 on a strength saving throw. 21 is certainly good enough, so he is able to not get tripped and restrained by the tethering bolus. We got a Gladiator Tyro C. The bald one comes in from behind the Rhino, stabs at the rider with his javelin, comes up with only a natural 2. That's not going to be good enough. The Tyro B is going to join him, brave as they are, and this is just a desperate fight. They either have to kill or be killed. And Nat 1, oh, maybe his bravery is not keeping him strong enough. He's a bit shaky. And then the champion comes in now and is going to be doing 2 attacks. He's got a multi-attack. I'm going to roll these. He's got 2 longsword attacks here. First one is a 22 to hit, and the second one is only a 7, so that's not going to do it. Though he does do... He deals 6 damage to the rider. The champion, by the way, is wearing scale mail, or effectively scale mail, has a shield, and he has that longsword now. He also has a dagger as a secondary sidearm. He's thrown his 2 javelins. He could go pick those up, but he's not doing that at the moment. The rider's looking like he's getting down into the yellow. Speaking of picking up javelins, I believe Tyro A is going to get in here and recover a javelin. So that will be essentially a dash action on his turn. The rider about faces the Rhinoceros. It's going to be very tricky now for it to build up a charge, and the men are trying to close in around it because it's not quite as dangerous if it's not stampeding. He draws a flail, the chain clinks as this weighted spiked ball swings from the end, and he whirls that, trying to strike the bald gladiator there. Comes up with a 16 to hit. That is certainly good enough. And this is going to be a D8 plus 3. I think he's using his other hand to hold on to the reins of the Rhino. Oh, he rolls minimum damage. Only 4. A glancing strike just kind of punctures in on the shoulder of the bald man. And the Rhinoceros will attack with a horn against, let's go against this fellow right here with the shorter hair. Here's the gore attack. Nat 7, that's a 14. That is enough. They don't have a lot of armor, just some very, very light armor, effectively like padded armor, and the shield. So he hits, the Rhino hits, and the gore attack is gonna do 16. Ugh, that is enough to take down Tyro B. Ugh! He's run through his vital organs, pierced by this massive spike upon the nose of the Rhinoceros, and he falls bleeding to the ground. The injured gladiator tries to steal his nerves. This is about their one desperate chance to gang up and take down the rider and perhaps the Rhinoceros. He strikes with his javelin against the rider. There is a 10, not good enough. The scarred champion strikes with his longsword. Again, he has a multi-attack to do 2 strikes. The first one is going to be only a 12. It's not good enough. The second is an 8. Oh no, fortune is not favoring him. Tyro A, who recovered one of the javelins, will throw that at the rider, and it's 1 under a hit. 1 under his AC. So again, glances off this time. His helmet protects his head from being hit by the spear tip. And I think Tyro A is going to go back to try to recover another javelin. So that'll be his speed. And we're back to the Beast Rider and the Rhinoceros. Oh my. He whirls his flail at the injured man, the bald one, and manages to strike him yet again. This is going to deal a total of 5 damage. He's not rolling very well. Landing another blow, another injury, puts the Tyro C into the orange. The Rhinoceros will attack with its horn against the Scarred Champion. I think is going to be the right target there. Right, gore attack is a 13. It's not enough. The shield repels the worst of that nasty spike. Tyro C, the bald one, is going to make his javelin attack against the rider. Again, 1 under a hit. They keep missing the rider's AC by just 1. The scale mail stops the stabbing spear tip. Scar Champion is going to do his 2 multi-attack strikes. First one's a nat 3, and the next one's a nat 6. Oh no. Fortune is really not on their side. The crowd is roaring, "Kill them! Kill them! Kill them!" They want to see that Beast Rider and the Rhinoceros just stamp these combatants into the dust. Tyro A has recovered a javelin. He throws it at the Beast Rider, and he manages to hit, and he's going to deal 7 piercing damage. Again, a bit of a light wound, so I would say the rider is bloodied now, definitely into the orange. And the Tyro, let's see, is there another javelin he can pick up? There was another throw. I think he'll go back just a bit and recover yet another javelin. The Beast Rider and the Rhino. It's going to be the same attack routine as before. The Rider is going to swing his flail at the bald gladiator, and then the Rhino is going to gore at the Scarred Champion. The flail hits, and that is, again, a low damage roll, dealing only 5 damage to the bald one. He's in the red. He's bleeding. He's got, like, you know, bludgeoned bruise marks and stabs where the spikes have poked him. He's breath coming ragged, sweating, blood and sweat mixing together, caking the dust onto his face. The Rhino stabs with its horn at the Scarred Champion. It's got a 16 to hit. That is 1 under the AC of the Scarred Champion. Again, his shield is holding back the worst of that beast. A desperate attack from the bald man. Oh no, a natural one. His wounds are getting to him. His attack comes weak. Completely misses. He's just drained. The Scarred Champion is going to make his 2 attacks with his longsword. Repelled again and again by the Beast Rider. Tyro A throws the final javelin that he's recovered. A natural 3 is not going to do it, and he doesn't know what to do. Fear and hesitation are getting to him, so he stands there And we go back to the rider, who will strike and try to finish off the bald gladiator with his flail. That is going to be a hit, and this will certainly take down the bald man. There is a sickly cracking noise as the flail knocks him upside his head, and he is slain. And the rhino will attempt its gore once again at the champion. This is a 16 to hit. Again, that is 1 under, just barely being held off by that shield. The champion strikes. His breath is coming a bit heavy. 2 natural 18s. He has struck twice with his longsword. And he does an incredible 19 damage to the Beast Rider. Painful, serious wounds against the Beast Rider. It nearly throws him out of the saddle. He is well down into the red and just barely hanging in there. We go to Tyro A. Is there somewhere where he can recover a javelin? There must be. He's been throwing them. So he's going to risk it, and he's going to come in here. This will be a dash for him to get in and recover a javelin. But the Beast Rider is going to try a different maneuver. It's a bit of a risk, but he's in a desperate spot. So the Beast Rider himself is going to dodge. He's going to do everything he can to focus on his defensiveness. And then he's going to like move the Rhino back and try to like about face it and come charging in. So he will provoke opportunity attacks in doing so. So first we're going to do the Scarred Champion, attacking with disadvantage from the dodge. A nat 3 and a nat 4, that's certainly not going to do it. And then the Tyro A will attack with disadvantage with the javelin that he just picked up. No, 6 is not going to do it. So the Rhino comes out to there, and he's like building up some momentum, and the rider is like lashing it, and then about faces the Rhino and comes charging in. He's going to try to kill the Scarred Champion. He's going for it. He's taking a big risk, and that Rhino horn is bearing down. And here is the attack. It is not enough. The Scarred Champion leaps out of the way, and the Rhino keeps, like trampling along into the dust, and it does not strike its target. The champion strikes out with his sword against the rider, still with disadvantage due to the dodge. The first one's only a 6, and the next one is also a 6. So a couple of nat 1s is what that amounted to. He strikes out into the dust cloud, the bit of the grit getting into his eyes, and he can't quite see, and the blade just does not connect. Tyro A throws a javelin at the Beast Rider. I know that looked like a critical hit, but there is disadvantage. You have to roll 1 more and take the lower of the 2. Nope, it's a 14. So the javelin just sails right, buzzes past the head of the rider and does not do it. The rider is going to try much the same tactic, so he himself dodges, does a full defense action, and is going to have the Rhino go to like a short loop and about face and come charging back in. I will give the opportunity attack with disadvantage to the champion. He swings a natural 1. He's still got that grit in his eyes, and the Rhino goes trampling about and comes right back in, building up its momentum, and makes the gore attack against the Scarred Champion. Gore attack is 19. That is a hit. It's going to be 4d8 plus 5 piercing damage to the Scarred Champion. 16 damage, adding in another scar. But you know what? That champion has quite a lot of hit points. Actually, 75 of them. And that's the first time he's been hit. So I think the crowd might actually be starting to turn in favor of the champion, because he's nearly killed the rider, and he's still going pretty strong. If he can just manage to hit with this disadvantage, maybe still dealing with the grit in his eyes, just cannot land the blow. So I've been having this Tyro pick up the javelins a lot, though at a certain point, there might be a chance that the javelins are just lost or maybe damaged. They've kind of been thrown all over the place, and there's like a bunch of dust kicked up. I'm going to just do a general DM's roll to see what are the odds are they can get a javelin. Okay, the odds are great. No challenge at all. He can find one right nearby. He picks it up, and he will throw it at he'll throw it at the rider. Attack with disadvantage due to the dodge, and still manages a 17, which is enough to hit. Despite the disadvantage, the javelin sails in and skewers right into the side of the rider. And he falls out of the saddle and onto the ground of the arena, gushing from this horrible puncture of the short spear into a vital area of his midsection. The Rhino shakes its head. It's rather agitated, but it actually has not been damaged in this fight. I think the men are going to try to back away, and they're not sure if they have to keep fighting this Rhinoceros or not. What does the crowd want? The crowd cheers, and they stomp, and they clap, and they roar, and they want blood. This fight needs to continue. The drummers begin pounding their drums, trying to egg on this angered and furious Rhinoceros, and it is going to continue to fight just of its own accord, and it will attack now the Scarred Champion. There's a 25 to hit. That will certainly do it. 15 more points of damage. I guess it just rolled really low on that charge damage. He's into the yellow now, and we go to his turn, and he's going to try to take down this Rhinoceros, he and his one surviving ally. All right, 2 attacks with the longsword. First one's going to be a hit, and the second one is going to be a hit. He slashes and stabs at the Rhinoceros with his sword, dealing 14 damage to it. Those are the first wounds inflicted on it. The thing grunts and snorts in pain. Tyro A, he comes over here to the body of a fallen ally, and the body has a javelin at it, and he picks that up and he throws it at the Rhinoceros, hoping to land a hit against this thing's thick hide, though it is ungainly. It's low dexterity, so it works out to not having a great AC, though he just doesn't roll well enough. The Rhinoceros is going to make its attack against the champion. The Rhinoceros stabs against the champion, this time landing a critical hit. Oh, this could be a changing point in the battle. The damage roll still was not the greatest of rolls, and that's 18 to the champion. He is down into the orange, well into the orange, and quite wounded. The champion's going to hold his ground. He does look about and he wishes he had some other alternative, but there's nothing that, immediately is available to him. So he is going to be attacking twice with his longsword. It's not hard for him to hit this Rhinoceros, though unfortunately one roll is low, and he only hits it with one of the sword strikes. And he will deal 10 damage to the Rhinoceros. That's a respectable hit. Rhinoceros is going down into the orange. The Tyro A looks about. I'm going to say there isn't actually any more javelins immediately nearby. If you wanted to rush and get one just in this turn and attack with it, it'd probably provoke an opportunity attack. But he has another idea. He is going to move over here and get right up nearby this wall. And he has drawn his dagger, tosses up like a handful of the dust, and there's this like dust cloud all around him, and he is going to ready essentially it's readying a dash, or maybe like readying an acrobatics check to do a stunt for if the Rhinoceros comes charging at him. The Rhino, wounded and rather agitated, will try to gore the champion, and it hits again with a 20 to hit. Ooh, this could be bad. It rolls decently well this time, doing 14 damage, and the scarred champion certainly has another scar. He is down into the red. The champion's breath is ragged. He's got stab wounds. He's bleeding. He's been bludgeoned and battered about by this heavy beast. But he's doing his best to hang in the fight. He gets 1 hit. He gets 2 hits. He has struck the Rhinoceros twice with his longsword, dealing a total of 17 damage to it. The thing bleats in pain. It's bleeding now. It has sword punctures and stabs and lacerations across its hide, just trickling out blood everywhere. Rather agitated, the Rhinoceros's horn, furious, desperate, stabs out at this man who's armored and holding this long claw of metal. This is probably going to take down the champion right here. He's just at 12 hit points, and that is 15 damage to him. And he is skewered through and tossed to the side by this Rhinoceros that is furious and agitated. And the Rhinoceros looks over there at the Tyro, the one remaining man, who he can scarcely see the thing through the dust cloud. He can smell him though, and he starts his charge. He's kind of slow and lumbering with his pain, with all the wounds and the bleeding. The Tyro steals his nerves. He flexes his thighs, his whole body, everything he has in him is focused, locked onto this rhinoceros that's about to charge at him. The ground is shaking, trembling as the rhinoceros comes charging in, and right before it makes contact with this gladiator, he is making an acrobatics check to try to dive out of the way, to tumble and evade the attack at the last moment, to fool this rhinoceros, which has charged into the dust cloud that he kicked up. I'm going to give him a DC 15. I'm basing the DC off the rhinoceros's strength and proficiency bonus. Here we go. It's a natural 20. He leaps out of the way just at the last moment, and the rhinoceros bashes itself unknowingly, just head first into the heavy stone structure of the arena architecture. And the thing keels over. It just slumps to the ground, just completely bashes itself into oblivion. The one standing man hoists his single short blade, his body just absolutely caked in dust and sweat, and the crowd is cheering and roaring. Some people are upset though. They curse profanity and spit out their wine, and they've lost money, and the rhinoceros is dead now. Others are celebrating. They've won off of bets they've placed. There's a master of a gladiator school who now has eyes on this man, this captive that was brought in. You would make a great addition to my ludus. Well, that was a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed that one as much as I did. If there's a combat scene from a different movie or a show that you think would make a great Monster Melee video, let me know. I might be able to recreate it in D&D like I did with this one. I also want to say an extra special thank you to my top supporters over on Patreon. In particular, Lucas Mesmo, Shadleech, Adam Wood, Nick Thy Pirate King, Jared Primont, Locke, Nicholas A., Technicolor Shale, Robert Brashini, Ben R., Tilwrench, Tornado, Agile Monk, and James Michaela. Until we meet again, my brave companions, may your adventures be many.